How is the release of Fukushima water affecting tourism from China, and going forward, how is this going to affect your business in the future at this point? And will the return of the group of tourists from China affect your earnings? In what way? What's the outlook?
今、足元の需要をしっかりとウォッチしていますけども。
We are closely watching current demand, but I don't think the treated water from Fukushima is having a big impact on demand from China. If you look at the movement of Chinese customers over the past 6 months, for example, from January to July, it's a tenfold increase from 30,000 to over 300,000. I think this growth will continue steadily in the future. In line with this growth in demand, we'll also increase the number of flights with that capacity. Before the pandemic, there were 175 round-trip flights per week. So currently, not even half of that number is actually in operation. We would like to increase the number of flights as demand grows and recovers.
How do you see the demand over the next year playing out? Will you see what we call revenge travel continue longer past the summer in Japan, given it was late to reopen from the COVID pandemic? Is there an issue with the slowing economy in China that is going to affect the outlook for Chinese tourists?
Compared to our initial expectations, the travel demand is showing very solid growth. This can be said for both international and domestic flights. But for domestic flights, the number has already returned to around 90% compared to pre-pandemic levels. It would be nice if business travel, which is a bit slow to recover, returns. By the end of the fiscal year, say by March next year, I believe that domestic flights will return to roughly the pre-pandemic level. Overall, international flights are still back at just under 70%. But unlike domestic flights, business demand is firmly driving our business. There are differences depending on the destination. But for example, excluding China and Europe, the demand for other international flights is extremely strong. I think the growth will continue. I think the demand for connecting flights from Asia to North America and from China to North America via Japan is extremely strong. That is to say, we are expecting it will return to nearly 80% overall.
What's the outlook overall for international business travel? Do you see business travel coming back to what was the pre-pandemic level? And if so, not, will leisure offset the loss of business travel?
As for international business passengers, we actually showed a faster return than we had originally expected. It's business traffic that's driving our international routes now. In addition to that, the growth in the number of visitors to Japan has exceeded our initial forecasts, and we are currently receiving a very high yield. As for growth, outbound leisure trips from Japan to overseas are still less than half of numbers before the pandemic. So if we return, I think the profitability of the international flight business will increase even further.
For most of us, the pandemic is over. What's changed, if anything, today?
I did a lot of thinking during the pandemic period. What we were really grateful for is that we were able to reaffirm the significance of aviation. After all, it's human nature wanting to go out, meet people, and talk to them face to face. I get the feeling that the demand won't change. And I can say one thing. I feel the nature of demand has greatly diversified. For example, before the pandemic, transit passengers traveling from Japan to overseas and from overseas to Japan were about 15%. The customers from Japan going overseas were 50%. And the customers coming to Japan from overseas were 35%. During the pandemic period, the number of transit passengers increased to 50% from 15%, and now it's decreased to about 35%. The type of demand changes. I think what is required of us from now on is to respond to this changing demand in a timely manner and keep working to improve yield management.
の向上を図っていきたいというふうには思っています。